fancy photos.
Right.
That takes whatever. You do a minute and 40 seconds of we're the greatest in the world, so and so. You do a minute of the title girl telling you how wonderful title insurance is. You do another minute and a half. You're done.
Right. I don't think anything else. The show that brings you new listings and insight from Miami to you. I'm your host and fellow peer, John Porter. I'm here with Sal Davidi of Davidi Realty. The topic of the week, Sal, we've gone through most of the steps now, and I guess the topic of the week now would be how to get a mortgage. What does that entail?
Yeah, like you were saying, we've taken the steps. We talked in the first couple of shows about pre-qualifying. That's when you go to your mortgage professional and they kind of tell you what you're up against, if you get approved, what your rate's going to be. So now you have that pre-approval in your world. Now you have to actually turn that pre-approval into an actual approval.
Wait, so because to cut you off, I got pre-approved. That doesn't mean I actually get the mortgage?
No, exactly. All that means is you meet the basic criteria for a mortgage. Now that pre-approval could be a month, 2 months, 6 months old. Now you've got to go back either to that same mortgage professional or someone else. Say, okay, now I've got my house. I've agreed on a purchase price with my buyer, with the buyer and seller, and I've got my inspection and they're fine. I need to get an actual mortgage to buy the house.
Okay.
Now in the contract, there's a certain amount of time to do this, so it is time sensitive. So the idea is we're going to now in this show kind of work with you how that actual final approval process goes through, so you can buy the house.
Okay. I'm really new to this. I know you know a lot about mortgages. What does it entail a little bit? I can just go a little deeper, I guess.
Well, I think the difference between the pre-approval and the approval. The pre-approval is the basic of what your income, what your credit is, cursory view on the top. The actual approval is going to actually want your income taxes, W-2s, 1099s, sometimes profit and losses. They're going to put an actual deeper involved credit report.
Like a hard inquiry?
Like a hard inquiry.
Okay.
They're going to want bank statements showing the down payment. A part of the down payment's a gift or the gift's coming through. It's just much more involved, the package.
Okay.
And that process could range between 15 and 45 days.
Oh.
So you need to get it started.
Okay.
So even though you have your pre-approval, that's not enough to buy the house.
Right.
You need to actually finalize that and get an actual bank approval from your lender. So that's the money with your down payment you use to close.
I guess last question. We kind of went over the pre-approval before, get your finances in place and everything like that. But do you have any tips? Obviously, you just said 45 days. Do you have any tips for somebody? Hey, look at your credit score even before the pre-approval, even though we're down this line?
I think when you get
you'd help it?
Well, I think when you get the pre-approval, they're going to tell you up with your credit, your income, your down payment. You got to make sure you maintain the credit score, either the same or higher. Your employment hasn't changed. If it has changed, is the new employment going to work for your new loan? So what you don't want a dramatic change negatory in your income or your credit or down payment from the time you pre-qualified to your actual proven out, because that'll affect you.
I guess there's no one you could show it to before the lender, I guess, or there's no one that can kind of audit what you're going to do before. You just kind of have to know it, or.
Well, I mean, you could be speaking to the person that gave you the pre-approval during the process of looking for a house.
Okay.
And continue to update it. Now, if your pre-approval is real old, then you should do that. If your pre-approval is 30 days old, then you should be okay. But what you don't want to do is a dramatic difference from your pre-approval to your actual go for your bank approval in your financial arrangement. That's where you could have some headaches.
Okay. I think that covers it pretty well. We're going to move to the expert of the week, and we'll be back with the property of the week. We're here with the expert of the week, Albert Menendez from Caliber Homes. Albert, thank you for coming.
My pleasure, John. Thank you for having us today.
I guess first give us a little background on Albert Menendez or Caliber Home Loans, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Albert Menendez. I work with Caliber Home Loans. We're the nation's largest mortgage lender. We were voted that last year, 2017, by Mortgage Executive Magazine. I've personally been in the industry since 1994. I've seen a lot of changes. I started off with a small company, pretty much worked my way up, now working with Caliber out of the Miami Coral Gables office.
Okay. And this is a good expert of the week. This is a great, great company. Albert, we're kind of trying to figure out, as a first-time home buyer, what are the steps, to getting a home? And right now, we're trying to get bank approved for a mortgage, or how to get a mortgage. We already got our pre-approval. Could you kind of walk us through what the process of getting a mortgage would be, the actual mortgage?
Well, I mean, basically at this point of the game, you've already done your pre-approval. You've already gotten your purchase contract. Now it's time to come back to the bank or the lender and submit all your documentation in order to get your final approval. At this point, you're going to submit all the documentation you have for your income, assets, and anything else that may be relevant to the transaction. At that point, your lender, your loan officer, your processor, they will submit the package to the underwriter. The underwriter is going to review all the documentation for thoroughness, completeness, accuracy. This is the first time it's going to be actually really reviewed. It's going to be make sure all the T's are crossed, all the I's dotted.
Albert, just to get you off, I'm sorry. Just because we got our pre-approval, so I guess what you're trying to say is just because we got our pre-approval doesn't mean that we're actually going to get the mortgage, or what we've got approved for, the loan amount, isn't the final.
Exactly. And once again, your pre-approval is, you started the process. Someone with knowledge of the industry, they reviewed what you had as far as income, your credit report, and say, hey, you can qualify for X amount of dollars. Now, you're submitting it to underwriting to get your actual lender approval. At which point, once you get the approval, basically, you're good to close.
I think we talked about this earlier. I guess we should be really thorough when we look at our documents and what we present, because if there's something from the past that would come up in our credit score or anything else, we kind of have to, like you said, cross our T's and dot our I's. Look at everything. There could be.
Yes, I mean, once again, once you submit the documentation, the underwriters will come back with either approved, approve the conditions, suspended or denied. Approve the conditions. They may come back and say, hey, you had a very large deposit back 2 months ago. What was that deposit from? Where did the money come from? Who gave it to you? Why is it here? At this point, don't freak out. Just write a simple letter of explanation and try to document it with anything you have. Same thing for maybe you had prior addresses that appear in your credit report. The underwriters are going to ask you for a letter of explanation saying, do you still live there? What happened? What's going on with that property address? So stuff like that. They're going to ask you some questions that are going to be ridiculous. Some are going to be actually, pretty important. But from your perspective, the best thing you can do is answer it as quickly as possible, even as ridiculous as the question may be. Get it done quickly so the underwriter can get you that approval.
I got another question. So let's say we got pre-approved for $300,000,
Sure.
And we're in the market looking for a home.
Mm-hmm.
Do we look a little bit under the pre-approved amount? Do we look over, or is over just out of the question?
Well, I mean, if you had a good loan officer or a good originator, they did their job well, and they got you approved for the max that you can qualify for. Anything above that, you're going to pretty much fall outside the box. And basically what that means is that you're not going to be able to get a higher loan amount. You would have to bring the cash to close the difference. So if you had let's say you got approved for a purchase price of $300,000 and your loan amount is $280,000, so you're putting $20,000 down payment that you verified. If you want to buy a house for $350,000, you got to come up with that extra $50,000. So now you got to verify $70,000 cash to close. That money could be a gift from your parents, or from a relative or a family member, or it could be money coming from your 401k. As long as you can document it,
Mm-hmm.
and we can add it to the transaction.
Mm-hmm.
You can move forward. If you can document it, or you don't have it, then at that point you deal with that.
Okay, cool. So basically what I got from this is to cross our T's, dot our I's, make sure to present all the documents we have, and if there is a discrepancy with, I guess, the transaction, communicate with your lender and make sure that, you can get it processed. The lender wants to give you the money and you want the home. So I mean, they're on your team. It's not something against you, right?
We're all here to work together as
Right.
a team, and once again, your part sometimes is, I know it's stressful when you're waiting for that final approval, but once you get that clear to close, you'll be like, wow, okay, we're going to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a closing. We're going to have our new house, you know, by the end of the week, and we're going to move in. It's going to be a great for everybody.
Right, like you said, you referenced it earlier, like a doctor, maybe you're waiting for the results, it could be stressful, but the doctor wants to help you, just like you guys want to help with the clients. But do you have anything else for our viewers, or anything you'd like to say about mortgages?
Basically, I'm going to say this is a great time to buy. The rates are still historically low. You have a lot of good companies out there. There are a lot of professionals out there. Take your time. Make sure you're working with a professional. And best of luck in finding your home.
Albert, thank you so much for coming on. We'll be back with the property of the week. Thank you again to the expert of the week, and now we're going to move on to the property of the week. Sal, the property of the week is 250 Northwest 61st Avenue, Miami, Florida. And this one's coming soon. This isn't a property.
Yeah, this is a client of ours who bought a house and is doing a complete rehab of the house. So your buyer's going to get a house with, you know, new roof, new windows, new appliances, new AC. So it should be in moving conditions. Again, you would still inspect it and do your stuff. It's right off Flagler, 61st Avenue, so you're close to Coral Gables, you're close to downtown Miami, you're close to major expressways. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a Florida room, and roughly around 1,700 square feet. And we haven't exactly got the price. We think it'll be somewhere in that $385 range. But hopefully the next couple weeks we'll have it on the market and we'll tell you the exact price. It's not exactly a starter home, but it's a nice house. It's totally redone.
Yeah, a lot of renovations. A lot
of money spent. You're getting a house in moving condition. And I think a person who buys will be very happy there.
Okay, cool. Sal, anything else for the week, or?
No, I mean, as I finish every show, you know, we're taking these steps. I mean, we're taking the steps from how you find the house to pre-approval to getting the contract. We've talked about inspections. We've talked about now actually turning your approval into a final approval. I'm taking like a regular closing we do here, from step A to step Z. We're going to go into now the actual appraisal of the property. We're going to go into insurance. We're going to go into the value of title insurance, how to read a closing statement. So again, the purpose of the show is to show somebody, a potential buyer, what the actual steps are from the beginning to end to buying your dream home.
Right, so if you haven't seen the earlier shows, maybe you want to go back and look at them and kind of just see the steps and just kind of rewatch them.
Every show we've done is in an order of what we believe would happen in a regular closing.
Okay, cool. Well, we appreciate all of you for watching. Thank you, Sal, for the lesson. And from DeViti Realty, we wish you a good day and sell more homes.